All right, guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is DFree, and for today's video, I wanted to cover something a little bit it's in the scope of what I typically do, but a little bit outside. And what I mean by that is we have some news we're reporting on. So basically, I want to go ahead and read this to you guys, and we're going to talk about it from there and give you guys a little bit of insight and kind of some thoughts that I have about all of this. So hope you guys enjoy. Be sure to post in the comments down below what you guys think about this and when you expect to see the stuff we're going to be talking about. Let me know in the comments. Okay, in the latest interview with Toyotaro, Victory asked about names of Gas's forms. Toyo commented while answering that he's sure those forms will show in video games. Most likely also referring to Ultra Ego as well. We can read the posts here. What is the name of Gas's transformed state? And also here, there's a name that I call it, but I haven't asked Toriyama about it yet. Also, when it comes time to say the name in the manga, I'll have to consult with Toriyama first. I'm sure that those forms will show up in games, though. Okay, so here's the deal. Also, according to DBS Chronicles, he's saying that might have been VEGETA. So maybe a little bit of misquoting here. Maybe it wasn't Toyotaro that said it. But the fact still remains. So the thing about Dragon Ball as an IP, and you've probably heard me say this, you've probably heard this on the internet before, is that it really is one of the most protected IPs probably out there, especially of this magnitude, right? Because Dragon Ball is immensely popular worldwide. So it has a massive following. It always did. And obviously that got a huge resurgence and new fans and stuff with the airing of Kai and then into the Dragon Ball Z movies, which then led to Super and all that stuff, right? So we've been in a huge resurgence for the last like almost decade now, really, for not Dokkan, for Dragon Ball. And then also Dokkan as well and Legends, blah, blah. So the thing about this is they don't touch any manga stuff. And a lot of games will pull from manga and the other IPs will pull from manga resources just to keep going with their games or to do other stuff, right? But the big heads that run this game, you know, say the big wigs, if you will, that run this game are very, very old-fashioned. There are so many different things that they do that kind of keep Dragon Ball in its own little bubble, and they try not to extend the IP more than they think they should, which I completely disagree with. And here's one example. Heroes. For one, Heroes has like, up until a few years ago, there was no Heroes content outside of Japan. Now, a few years back, they actually had a arcade machine that was completely in English. I actually have a graded card that Dino got me, Rhyme Style, he got me. It was from Comic-Con a few years back. It was before, you know, all this stuff started happening in the world. So anyways, they tried it. They did a test run. Obviously, that clearly didn't hit how they wanted it to out here, so it didn't come to fruition. And also, it's kind of weird because the arcade culture here versus in Japan, it's a weird thing considering the way that you would have to maintain that game. You know, if it were to get an English release and have the arcade, they thought about like Dave and Buster's, things like that. I heard as a rumor. It just didn't happen, right? And it's not going to happen, it sounds like. So that's one IP. They did push the Switch game, and I believe it also got a release on other consoles like Steam or whatever. Never got outside. I think it got one update. I don't think it ever got another one, and it died really quickly as a result, right? So they don't trust the IP outside. Now, also what happened with that Dragon Ball Heroes is that anytime there was a Dragon Ball Heroes figure that was getting localized, they would completely remove any sort of Heroes branding from it, and they would put Super as branding on it. Because Super is what we're familiar with, Heroes we're not familiar with, even though it's still Dragon Ball. Like, nobody's gonna look at it and be like, oh, well, it's not Dragon Ball Super branded, so I'm not, but it's freaking Xeno Goku, for example. Like, he's not in Super. It's almost misrepresentation if you ask me. But like, there are a lot of things that they do, right? And that's just an example of Heroes in and of itself. Now, when it comes to the games, this is not wrong, but it's probably a little too protective. The thing about the games is the reason why the games don't have stuff like MORO, Gas, GRANOLAH, Mirrors, these characters, Ultra Ego, VEGETA. The reason why these games don't have this stuff, even though they've been around, not all of it, but some of it's been around for years now as the mangas continued going after the anime has ended. The reason why is because and again, it's not wrong, more people are going to be in tune with the series through an anime medium. They're waiting for an anime representation of this stuff. Not really an adaptation of the manga, because if you think that there's a specific canon, there isn't. Toyotaro is not more really in line with Toriyama as you know, as even though he's like his predecessor. He even mentions here, it might have been Uchida, I don't know. He's even saying here that, oh yeah, I have to ask Toriyama about the names, and I'll talk about the name thing in a minute. But there's no like real continuity. Toriyama very, 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 very loosely interacts with either the manga or the anime, so it doesn't really matter. You enjoy it how you want. But the point is, when anime pops off and it's back, and it will be back eventually. There's rumors it's coming back next year. It will be back eventually, and when it is back, it will do Miris, Moro, all this stuff, gas, all of it. It will do that stuff. There's no way they won't. So, and I can tell you it probably will have some changes from the manga. Just as a side note, don't expect it to be a one-to-one thing, just like before. Very different mediums between the anime and manga. But when that happens, that anime is, for one, gonna look 10 times better, because I'm sure it's already been in production in the back end. But if you look at Toei stuff currently, the animation quality is really good compared to what it was back then. But what will happen is it'll be more recognized. It'll be worldwide. It'll get a simulcast. They'll promote it. They'll have merch for it. These characters, when they come out, again, we'll have more merch for them. And then they'll finally make their way into Heroes. And Heroes, I mentioned it earlier, is the most popular Dragon Ball game in Japan, I would say, right? And the thing about that is Heroes is a medium. When you see stuff pop in Heroes, eventually it'll trickle out to other games. I don't really know about Xenoverse or Fighters, because there's rumors. I think that they were saying over the last few days that Fighters is done. I believe so. Don't quote me on that. But Xenoverse 3 has a rumor for it coming out sometime as well soon, in the next couple of years. So like, I don't know about those games, but the mobile games, they will get their stuff once it gets anime adapted, and then into Heroes first, most likely. And then it'll come out, right? Now, Superhero is a little bit different because that has a full-on movie, right? They're not really waiting on too much. I assume before the end of the year, both of the mobile games get superhero content, right? People are saying it could be worldwide celebration on Dokkan. I don't know, but I'd assume what makes the most sense to me is to just wait till the end of the year and promote it between both games. You know what I'm saying? That just makes the most sense. Also, you could cross promote both games at the same time with like dual ads or whatever, because you may think they're in competition. They're not really. They're both ran by the same people. They get more money the better both games do. So it just makes the most sense for me. So that's more or less what you need to understand about this is, if you're wondering why this stuff is not in the games yet, it's because they don't care about the manga, basically. Loosely put, they don't care about the manga. Eventually, when it gets added to the anime, more eyes will be on it, because more people are going to be in tune and tuning into the anime consistently and keeping up with the story of the anime than the manga. I tune into the manga every blue moon, just to be completely honest with you. So that's just an example. Now, the forums thing is really funny, and then we're going to end on this. The forums thing is funny because, and I put out a tweet about this, by the way, and I kind of explained this too. Follow me on Twitter. Follow DBS Hype on Twitter. You could read my tweet while I talk, or pause. The forums thing is funny because he says here, and again, it could have been Uchida, but it doesn't really matter who's saying it. The point is still the same. The point stands. He says, like, oh, I don't know about the names. I have a name that I personally call it, but I'll have to ask Toriyama about it. I haven't asked him about it. And he says, like, oh, when it's time to finally say the name in the manga, I'll have to consult with Toriyama. And then the next follow-up after that is, I'm sure those forms will be in games. Now, this might have been a little out of context. Maybe there was, a couple things he said prior in between. But my point is that this is a little bit of a cop-out. And the reason why is because even if the forms don't have literal names in the manga, even if they never say the names in the manga, what happens with Dragon Ball is the games, the other media, like, the guidebooks or whatever, will tell us what these forms are supposed to be called, right? I don't know if ever Rage Trunks was called Rage Trunks in any media at all. Well, other than the games, right? I don't know if that was in a guidebook. It could have been, but I don't believe it was in the manga. I don't think they literally said, oh, this is Super Saiyan Rage. You know what I'm saying? So, like, even if they don't literally tell us, they didn't say, oh, this is Super Saiyan Grade. Well, they kind of maybe hinted a little bit. This is Super Saiyan Grade 3, Grade 2. They didn't say all that. And that's a little bit of a cop-up, because what'll happen is, say that they never officially give Vegeta, Ultra Ego. I need to go back and read it, so don't quote me on that. But say like they don't give an official name to Moro's forms, or whoever's forms, right? Say they don't give that Kaiju Goku thing, whatever, a real form name. I don't know. They will come up with a name in Heroes. They will call it something, right? So that's more or less the cop-out answer here. That's why I thought that was really funny, because that's just how it is. They've gotta slap a name on it, and they gotta let you know what you're dealing with. So I thought that was funny as a final here. But yeah, just to kind of recap, the people that manage this IP are so old school, old-fashioned. Like, there's even stuff that may or may not be under NDA that I can't really kind of mention much about in terms of just the games that I play on the channel that may or may not have been inhibited by these group of people. You know what I'm saying? But it's the way that the last thing too is like the way that they interact with the rest of the world as well needs to be thought about too, because the people that manage this IP, they love us for our money, but they don't really understand the culture outside of Japan. It seems I don't want to be too like glaring with criticisms because I don't know these people literally. It seems that way, right? And it seems like they're out of touch, they're out of tune with the IP, because otherwise, if we were in a perfect world, there would be no reason. Like, I understand, like I said, more eyes are on it if it comes out in anime first, but really there's no reason, right? And maybe they care a little bit about spoilers, which goes contrary to things they've done in the past. They never cared much about spoilers, right? But other than that, there's no reason. You might as well just drop the big stuff. But what I will tell you is, back during the initial run of Dragon Ball Super, whenever something happened big in the anime, stuff dropped like right then and there on Dokkan. I'm not joking. It might have been a day late, but it dropped right then and there, because obviously they got this stuff all planned out. They all know what each other's doing, to an extent anyway. Like Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken in the tournament of not tournament power, the Universe 6 tournament, instantly in Dokkan. Goku Black base form, instantly in Dokkan. So I'd assume that these games are going to continue doing that, because it's the best way to capitalize on the hype, right? You see it and it's like, oh, he's already in the game? You know what I'm saying? So I'd also expect that as well. But we're talking about stuff maybe a year or two down the line. That's the thing about it, is like also like current stuff you probably won't see in these games for a long time. It just kind of depends how quickly the anime is paced, right? And then last thing I'll say about all this in these games is I can't really, like I said, I can't mention Fighters or I guess Kakarot, I guess too. But Xenoverse, I can't mention these games in terms of like DLC, because I don't really know what they're doing, because they're easily replaced, I guess, at this point. In the next few years, there might be second versions or third versions of these games. But the point is, the mobile games. If you thought these mobile games were going away anytime soon, they are not. They are not. And I've been saying that I think they're working on a third one, because man, that would be crazy. That would start things off with a bang, dude. A third game coming out right around the time the anime comes back. Things like, oh my goodness. These games aren't going away for a while, because they're going to get more content, a lot more content. And it's okay, because they don't mind redoing content anyway. So I can't wait for my, fourth or fifth MORO to come into the games. You know what I'm saying? Oh my goodness. Dragon Ball's crazy. Okay, so this turned into more than I thought it would be. Yeah, but yeah, the games ain't going anywhere. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see all of you next time.